Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back for another transformational conversation, one that I think a lot of my single gals are going to really love. And it's about magnetizing and vibrationally aligning with your soulmate. We all wish to call in that one for us. And sometimes we feel a little stuck in doing so. That's why I'm so excited to have my friend Karen McPhail here. She is a soulmate manifestation coach. Don't you just love that? Certified life coach, certified infinite possibilities trainer from the one and only Mike Dooley, certified quantum manifestation coach, and creator of the highly successful 12-week women's program, the Soulmate Solution, where she empowers women to manifest their soulmate partner while, and this is important, my friends, and you'll find out why in a moment, while becoming their own soulmate and loving their lives in the process. As a life coach, she supports individuals to clearly define, create, and achieve their dream lives. Welcome, Karen. What a fun topic.
Yes, thank you for having me, Linda. What a pleasure being here. It's been a joy getting to know you.
Yes, well, same here too. And I love your story, and maybe we'll touch base on it later about how you manifested your man, right? So one of the things that I love about your whole message, to be honest, is about becoming the love of your own life, about becoming your own soulmate, because sometimes we want everything out there to come, but until we can love ourselves, how can someone else love us?
Right. Right.
And so why don't we start there, because give us an overview of what that means to you about not only vibrationally aligning, but also being your own soulmate.
Right, right. Well, I mean, if we take just the simplest element of the law of attraction, we attract what we are. So instead of thinking that everything's way out there, it's in here. And when we become a vibrational match to what we want to attract, it magnetizes to us. We pull it to us. So in becoming your own soulmate, you actually become what you're trying to attract, because like energy attracts like energy. And then as you do this, become your own soulmate, you actually do start really vibrating at a higher frequency, because you start loving your life and loving yourself and building that relationship with yourself. So therefore, you're bringing in love, and you're also bringing in your desired soulmate to you.
I love that. I can remember going through a divorce over 30 years ago, and I took 19 months off. I said, I am not dating, I'm not anything, because I finally came to the truth, and I think it ties to our conversation, that I was the one constant in every relationship, and I had a bad picker. And so I said to myself, oh no, until you can figure out what's going on inside, and this is before I knew about all this stuff, until I could decide what was going on inside that was calling that in, and that's before I even knew what the law of attraction was. I think it's how we're wired. We are meant to attract our soulmate. So I had to do a lot of healing, and that's what you're talking about being your own soulmate. Love yourself first, so you can attract someone that loves you the same. If we don't have self-love for ourselves, that's who we're going to call in. Isn't it true?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we're not even clear what our soulmate or who that soulmate is, we're not even going to know how to become that soulmate within ourselves. So that's why today, I know we're going to talk about what I mean by that, by really identifying those values and characteristics in the soulmate we desire.
And I love what you said, values and characteristics, because values, energy, who they are matters more than the outside stuff. We're talking about, if I'm understanding correctly, we're talking about the essence of who they are.
Yes, yes.
Okay, absolutely. So why don't we dive right in about how do we identify the characteristics, why it's important, and anything else you want to share, because I think this is critical. And this was the missing piece for me 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'll start a little bit with how I came to this, is that I was consider myself a master manifester, but I wasn't manifesting my soulmate. And so there was a disconnect of what was going on. And so anyway, I heard through Joe Dispenza actually that Well, how you attract your soulmate is by becoming your own soulmate. So I just started doing that. So now in the Soulmate Solution, I actually teach that, but it's a simple exercise. I call it the list of 12. And what you do is, I mean, quiet time, no distractions, because this is you time. Just have a big, either butcher piece of paper in front of you or 2 pieces of paper in front of you, and do a real brainstorming. And with this prompt, if I had a magic wand and there were no limits, who would my soulmate be? What types of values would he have? What would the characteristic traits be? How would he be living his life? Okay. And you just brainstorm, you just dump onto this piece of paper. And once you have it all out there, you choose 12 of the most important things on the paper. And then once you have those, put that on a notebook paper, 1 per line, cut them into rectangles, and now just put them in pieces in front of you. And ask yourself, if I could only have one of these characteristics or values in front of me, could only have one in my soulmate, which one would it be? And that becomes your number 1. So then you do write on the piece of paper next to it, number 1. For me, it was the man of the highest integrity. Because I knew if I had a person of the highest integrity, I would have loyalty. I would have someone who was trustworthy. I would have someone I could count on to be ethical and, guide in our life, ethical practices. So for me, the man of integrity became my number 1. And so one of the things I do, because some people's like, well, I'm not even sure what my values are. So I have them take a free values assessment test that helps them identify their values. And then we really just brainstorm and talk about what are the characteristic traits, family man, what the work ethic, how does he look? I mean, if you want, an Adonis, don't, put that down if that's super, super important to you. Because as we know, Linda, your soulmate is different from my soulmate versus the other person's soulmate. So this is very specific to individuals. So that's pretty much how we do it. You come up with your list of 12, and then you look at that list and start becoming that list. So for instance, one of my most important in my top 6, I don't know if you're going to get all 12. I actually did, but I have the women focus on their top 12, 1 through 6. I mean, top 6 in the 12. And one of those for me was a passion for travel. So I had to look down at that and say, when was the last time you traveled, Karen? And I hadn't been traveling. So like I said, I really embodied this. And I took a huge trip by myself to Paris, but that's a whole nother story in itself. And when I did that, I actually met my soulmate in Paris. But I had started traveling that year, even with my kids. I had taken several trips, and I even had one on the books to take my son to Australia for when he graduated high school that same year. So again, I started embodying the list. I started becoming that soulmate that I wanted.
This is just so resonating. It's reminding me of my daughter too, and who she called in, and they just celebrated their first year of marriage. But she always held the vision. She was not a dater and all that. She was in some long-term relationships. And she said, I know exactly what I want, but I will not go out there, because she's not a drinker or a bar.
Right.
The world's changed. And she goes, and I'm not doing that swipe left and swipe right stuff. And she just believed.
Yeah.
And he's magical.
Yeah.
We've loved him since he was 15. So it was there. She held the energy and intent. What I'm hearing is that 12 helps you identify it in the person you wish to attract, but also help you vibrationally align, which is a big part of your teaching, because you believe in first identify the characteristics. but you have to align with it. Like you chose and said, oh shit, if I want someone that loves travel, but I'm not traveling, then I'm incongruent.
Right.
Your energy is incongruent, because how can you call in someone that loves to travel? Because their energy is like, I'm looking for someone that loves to travel. And here you are, Karen, who says the words, and we're all guilty of this, I love to travel. Fill in the blank, ladies, with whatever you always say, but we don't do. We don't embody. Is that what you're talking about? We got to get into that alignment.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And, you know, I think of like vibrational frequency, like, you know, an analogy of a radio, you know, it's out there, pops out there, rocks out there, maybe your sports station is out there, but you have to turn the dial, back in the old days of radio, turn the dial to exactly the right frequency or station, if you will, to get what you're looking for. And it's the same thing energetically. So as we vibrate with all the energy that we're trying to attract to us, because we're living it, and as you do this, you start getting excited about life. So your vibrational frequency goes up. You start living in a state of joy instead of a state of lack, instead of, I don't have my mate, therefore I can't do this, I'm not this, right? No, you live as if your soulmate is there. Why? Because you're your own soulmate. So you start having a relationship with yourself, and you start loving your life right where you're at, and it just magically happens.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that we have to become our own healer first, right? And I'm thinking, you know, like I've been with Dana now almost 29 years in December.
That's amazing.
And yeah, he's my best friend. But one of the things that dropped in as you were saying it, I don't want to say I was manifesting him, but part of the thing I got very clear on in that 19-month sabbatical, dating, everything sabbatical, was the next man that I desire to be with. I needed him to be very emotionally and spiritually aware. Right. So now that I'm thinking of it, it was kind of like that was my top thing.
Right.
Even though
you yourself were becoming emotionally and spiritually aware.
I did a deep
dive process, right?
Yeah, I was doing a deep dive into my own personal and spiritual development, but I knew I wanted deep conversations. I wanted someone who was emotionally and spiritually aware of me, but the world around them. And so it's funny that I don't believe I was manifesting consciously at that time, but making that one decision, that's exactly who I called in.
Right.
But I understand now, just like you're giving me like insights that I hadn't had before. I held that level of importance to me, I guess, in my energy field, but I was doing my own work. And here's a validation for everything you're sharing today. And this is so funny, all these seeds are dropping in. 6 months into dating, I said to him, we had met like a year before our official first date. So I said, 6 months into dating, I go, oh my God, I wasted a whole year. We could have been together a year before. And you want to know what he said? And tell me I didn't attract a spiritually and emotionally aware man. My girlfriends were like, oh. He said, darling, you weren't energetically ready for me at that time. We would not have worked because I had so many neediness wounds and self-worth wounds. But an emotionally, spiritually aware man would give you that. Someone else would have. And that's the moment I knew. Right. It's possible. So everything you're teaching really resonates and speaks with me about how I believe life works, not just in relationships, right, in life. Right. So they must get so many ahas when they start to do the work to identify it. Because right now, I think all of us, we go through that stage of, I want to meet the man of my dreams. But they can't even identify the man of their dreams. That's what you're talking about, right? So it's growing energy going out so no one can come in.
Right. You really have to start. I mean, I really feel like we start with the basics. I mean, you're trying to manifest something you're not even sure of what that is, right? Oh, a soulmate. Well, what is, like I said, it's so unique to each individual. Each individual needs to identify it. And when you look down at that list of 12, it's an insight into yourself, because you're saying, these are the most important things in my life. You know, I had family centered. I wanted someone who was very family oriented. You know, yes, I want to travel with this man, but the roots of the family are so important. And then I wanted someone who was health conscious and fit. Well, at that time, I wasn't health conscious and fit. So, I mean, I joined a gym and I started working out 3 or 4 times a week and started really feeling good about myself and becoming more healthy and conscious of what I was eating and fit. And so that's the other thing that I like to share with women. You cannot expect anything from your soulmate if you're not willing to do it or be it yourself. So I can't say, I want this Adonis man that's, so buff and is so into taking care of himself. And yet I don't work out. I don't watch what I eat. I'm 100 pounds overweight, let's just say. Why? Because that man is not looking for this as his soulmate. So kind of what even Dana was saying to you, right? I mean, your soulmate is looking for you, but they have their list of 12, whether they know it or not. And they're, so the energies need to align.
Yeah, so it's like the characteristics have to align so we can call in what we want, but they're also energetically, like you said, whether they know it or not, doing the same work. So it's like getting on the same radio station, because if not, he's going to be on the sports station, ladies, and you're going to be on jazz.
Right.
Wondering where he is.
Yeah.
So I love that. And I love that analogy about the radio. So we've done the listing, which I think is so important. And I love about the values and characteristics, because values go deeper than the outside stuff. Like, I want him to be a 6-figure income earner. Right. I need the values first. I'm not saying, ladies, don't add that if that's important to you. Right. But to me, the values go long, because the values are what holds the relationship together. Right. That's what is the glue. So to me, that's important. So now let's talk about, they've identified it. You talked a little bit about embodying it, but let's go a little deeper. What are some of, because they get their 12 little pieces of paper and they know they have to embody it. Do you have a ritual or a process so they don't get overwhelmed? I know you said pick the first 6, but is it like work on one a week, work on one a month? How do you get them to take action on this information?
Well, in the Soulmate Solution, there's the whole work process with the worksheets and all that. But the gist of it is I have them imagine their new soulmate self. Okay, so what, how is she talking? How is she showing up? What is she wearing? Who is this person? And so they start imagining, almost you have to kind of imagine this new, I call new soulmate self, okay, that you're becoming. But to answer your questions, to keep it simple, because we don't want to overcomplicate things. So I look down and, okay, passion for travel. Well, I couldn't do that in the next 2 weeks. What could I do in the next 2 weeks? I could join a gym in the next 2 weeks, okay? And I could just start becoming conscious of my own integrity. How ethical am I being in my life? So just little by little, but the key is initial awareness. And then, this isn't an overnight fix, take a pill and you've got, really the 12 weeks is about all the growth and matching up with the frequency. It's not even about in 12 weeks, you're going to manifest your man by the end of the program. Although that's happened. 50% of the women actually meet their man within that 12 weeks. But what I like to remind people of is really important is as you start doing these things, don't attach to how is he going to come in? How am I going to, right? The key is do not attach to the how, because in your own human brain, that's so limited compared to what the universe can do to connect the dots. And, what source is going to do, whether that's God for you or whatever that means for you. So unattach, trust in the process, and don't attach to the how while you're doing this.
Oh,
to add another layer.
That's a big thing for me, because I was a micromanager of the divine for 3 decades, right? Like, okay, and I wanted this at this time. And finally, when I started letting go, and this speaks to that, focus on you, focus on your energy, not in the hows, because once we focus on the hows, we're out of our energy.
Yeah.
We're out. We're in the world's energy.
Right.
And that's been my own journey in life, business, etc. So that really, really resonated with me. Is ladies, focus on your internal life so that you're vibrationally, like, everything we talk about personally between you and myself. But also in my work is we're always putting out energy.
Everything is energy. Everything is energy.
And it's powerful. So in what I hear also, and I'm sure the 12-week Soulmate Solution program is like this is fun. This is like we are co-creating that. Like this is getting out of our linear head into our energy and essence, which to me is the truth of who we are.
Yeah.
And so I could feel fun, like this would be fun to do, but I have my man already. So, but I could feel the lightness, and isn't that what we need to lighten up our energy field? So we aren't weighed down like I'm alone, I don't have someone.
Right.
Well, the more you say I'm alone, I don't have someone.
What can I say? The universe gives you what you believe. So if you keep talking about and focusing on the energy of being alone and not having anyone, guess what's going to show up? Right?
Especially when you have
the proof of that's going to show up. So that's why this is such magic, because when you start doing this, the universe starts working, and the serendipities and the synchronicities and the magic starts to happen. I mean, I won't go into the whole story. It's a story I'm in the new book that you're life shifts story in there. But I met my soulmate in Paris. He lived in Michigan. I lived in Oregon. That's what I mean by don't attach to the house. I wasn't going to Paris to meet anyone. I was going to Paris for an event, and that happened. And it wasn't until 8 months later, kind of like you and Dana later, that we even got together in a relationship romantic sense. But if I would have said to myself, oh, I'm going to go to Paris and that's where I'm going to meet my soulmate. No, I mean, I just was doing my thing. I was doing my list, becoming my own soulmate. And as I went out into the world, all the magic and the dots connected.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to read your story. That's going to come out in November, ladies, Life Shifts book. What I love about that story is what you just said. Travel was high on your list, so you were doing that. Second, you were nurturing other aspects of who you are by attending that event to nurture that part of yourself, to become your own best friend. And because you were focused inward on growth and alignment, how could he not come? I love that. Same with Nikki, my daughter. Glenn had been in her life since they've known each other since they were 15, but never dated. They've been good friends all these years. And she just kept staying very clear. And suddenly they were single at the same time. And he actually called and said, I've waited 15 years for this moment. 15 years. And I get emotional every time. He has the best son-in-law. He loves our granddaughter. And she said, Mom, this is everything I envisioned. Even though we were at the time, she wasn't calling it manifesting, but I believe she aligned. I see now, after talking to you, she aligned like, I will not date. I am not interested in dating. I have a daughter. I'm going to just stay focused, and look what happened. It's been magical. I've been together 3 years, married a year. So there's another beautiful story, ladies. And one of the other things is, so let's say we got them identifying the characteristics, doing their own work. Do you set us, when you're going through the process, right, this identifying and then embodying, do you recommend they set aside time like each day to focus on those values that are important, so this becomes part of the energy? Like, what are some of those strategies?
Well, visualization is a huge one. I don't even recommend doing it more than 4 minutes a day. 5 max, where you see yourself in the picture, but mainly you're feeling it. And of course, you might not even, there's just maybe a silhouette of the soulmate that's walking on the beach with you hand in hand, but you see yourself laughing, whether it's dancing in the kitchen or cooking together, whatever it is that you love to do. Of course, with me, it was, in Italy, in the canal on the, what's it called? The boat thing.
Oh, gondola.
The gondolas. Yes, I was in there. And guess what? On my honeymoon, that's what we did. But so visualize what the story that you want to see. And there's a lot of journaling in the program where we're journaling a lot. We actually developed what I call the manifesto, where it's literally talking as if it's already happening. He's in your life, and here's the things you're doing, here's the emotions you're having, all of that. So again, the more you can just even embody the fantasy by, you know what I mean? Just kind of start seeing the story, because the mind gravitates towards what it's comfortable with. So you want to start seeing yourself with this, like I say, this maybe this vague person, because you've not met him yet, possibly. So, you know, a lot of the strategy is also just visualization and fantasy and imagination.
One of the things I heard too is emotions. You got to feel what it is you want to feel in that relationship, because emotions, I believe, I think emotions are first, then our thoughts. Our emotions are our attractor. Our thoughts are the seed, but our emotions accelerate our manifestation.
Yeah. The emotions are, I mean, tenfold on energy and frequency. I mean, a thought has so much energy, a belief has so much energy, but an emotion really has the energy. And that's why I say, when you visualize and see the picture and see yourself in it, you're feeling what that feels like, that juicy love. So you're in the frequency of love. And when you're vibrating at this frequency of love, plus all these different things that you're bringing in, that's when you're magnetizing him to you. He's coming to you, and you don't even see it happening because all the dots are aligning.
That's a beautiful part. You don't have to do anything except your own alignment.
Right.
And I got to tell you, ladies, for all the single ladies out there, what are you waiting for? I'm going to extend an invitation, because this is juicy. It's fun. And I want you to hit the claim your free gift button on the side of the video. You can see it right there, and download your free gift, 5 steps to manifest your soulmate. You're going to learn the simple yet profoundly powerful practices that will raise your vibrational frequency so that you can become a magnet to your soulmate. You'll discover the importance of falling in love with yourself, like we discussed here, but we'll go a little deeper in the gift, and your life, so that you can align your frequency with that which you wish to attract. From that place of alignment, we just discussed, it's possible to attract true love. So grab the 5 steps to manifest your soulmate. Stay connected in Karen's community, because she also has the Soulmate Solution. She'll be sharing tips, strategies. Stay in the container. If you are truly interested in calling in an aligned soulmate, Karen Jagal. So stay connected, download the free gift, follow her on social media, and watch for her programs and offerings, my friends. And happy manifesting, my friends. Thank you, Karen. I so appreciate our conversation today. This was so much fun. Like, I could feel it in my body. I'm excited for all the women that step into your community. This is what we need, relationships at the highest vibrational level.
They are. Thank you, Linda. This has been a joy.
You're welcome. Blessings, everyone.